Hello and welcome back to somebody on WrestleMania and to another edition of Monday Night Raw out of 10. It's a big show today because of course it is night 2 of the WWE draft and it is also the go home show ahead of Backlash. There's a lot happening on this show as we build up to that and of course to the draft. So let's get straight into it. And Triple H kicks off the show and announced that the remaining half of the superstars would be drafted tonight with the exception of Brock Lesnar, who was still a free agent, and reminded us that the renewed World Heavyweight title will be on Raw as Roman Reigns remains on SmackDown. But round 1 commenced and SmackDown Women's Champion Rhea Ripley as well as Seth Rollins were drafted to Raw, while Austin Theory and Charlotte Flair went to SmackDown. And Paul Heyman was out next and he said he needed to the ring to relay a message about the draft for Roman Reigns. He said that Roman was eyeing the heavyweight title and called the rest of the locker room children before Seth Rollins interrupted them. Rollins joined Heyman in the ring and claimed that Raw was his show before saying that Roman was lucky to be on a blue brand and didn't have to run from him anymore. Seth said he would win the new title at the Night of Champions before Heyman got a call. Paul told Rollins that he was mad at him before Seth threatened to stomp on his head. Stone Cold came out to stop the attack and they had a stare down as a match between the two for tonight. That's obviously going to be a bang match. We'll get to that later. Good start to Raw. Good little promo between Seth and Paul. They're potentially setting out Seth as the challenger for the heavyweight title. I hope Roman Reigns doesn't win. I'm sure that's not going to happen, but we'll see. The draft is interesting as well. Not going to really comment on it. I'm going to do a separate video like I said on SmackDown. But yeah, interesting Charlotte Flair's on the draft as we were led to believe she's on absence, but maybe not. We'll have to see where that goes. But yeah, good stuff. The first match of the night was Damage Control versus Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. Liv and Dakota kicked off the match and the tags were made early on before Bayley was isolated in the corner and took some big double team moves. Kai was able to get the tag after Bayley sent Liv outside and took control. Back after a break, Raquel got some big lariats before getting a near fall on Kofi. Raquel threw Liv off the top rope onto Kai, but Bayley dragged her outside before they could get the pin. Liv went up for the Oblivion on Kai before Bayley rolled her up for the win. Good win for Damage Control. To be fair here, obviously went over the champs. I don't really like that, to be honest. Slightly gets downgrade, but definitely setting up a future storyline or one that was continuing between them. Did its job there, I suppose. So it gets 6 out of 10 from me. Cody and Brock were then back at the arena, and we saw Adam Pearce walk up to them individually to tell them to keep peace tonight. Before Booker T and Sharmell were out for the round 2 of the draft, Judgment Day and Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens were drafted to Raw, while RWO and the Usos were going to SmackDown. So splitting up the rival and feuds there. But Braun Strowman and Ricochet then took on Alpha Academy on Raw. Ricochet and Gable kicked off the match and Ricochet got some big moves, taking a big German suplex. Tags were made and Braun took down Otis before upping Ricochet on top of him for the quick win. Really dominant win here for Ricochet and Braun. Hints at good things coming for them, you'd have thought. Impressive win. Bit of a shame for the Alpha Academy, but I still think with the whole stuff with MMM going on, there could be a breakup soon there. Shawn Michaels and Adam Pearce were out for round 3 of the draft then. Brock Lesnar interrupted them before they can announce their picks and headed to the ring. Brock said he was the only real cowboy in the state before Pearce brought out the whole security team to stop him. Cody's music hit and he attacked Brock from behind and a massive brawl broke out, which was great to see. Brock managed to escape the ring and walked away as security overpowered Cody and held him back. Love that. Really can't wait for the match. Backlash is going to be great. This was a good little build for it. The draft was finally announced and HBK and New Day, Raquel Rodriguez and Liv Morgan will be on Raw, while Oscar and the Brawling Brutes were headed to SmackDown. It was then time for Riddle versus Jimmy Uso. Riddle had a good start, but Jay came in off from the apron and a kick helped Jimmy get the advantage. Outside the ring, Sammy and KO tried the ref to make him think that Jay was attacking Owens with a steel chair and sent him to back. Riddle tried for the Barraton, but Jimmy got his knees up before tossing Riddle off the top rope. Back in the ring, Jimmy got a big super kick before undoing one of the turnbuckles. After a struggle, Jimmy was sent face first into the turnbuckle before Riddle got the corkscrew moonsault for the win. After the match, Jay Uso asked Paul Heyman why Solo wasn't able to help him and Jimmy. So Heyman told him that Roman assigned Solo a special job as he was focused on it. It gets 7 out of 10 from me, this. Really good little match. Continuing it, obviously it's going to be interesting because if you could go to a halt with them on different brands now. We'll have to see where that goes. Let's get to 7 out of 10 for me. Good stuff. Good win there. Eric Bischoff and RVD were out next for the next round of the draft, and Raw picked Stratus, Ronda and Baszler, adding to their women's division. SmackDown got LA Knight and Karrion Kross. The Miz was out next and wanted Nakamura to join on Miz TV. Miz argued with Nakamura about who will win the new heavyweight title and proposed alliance, and Nakamura was still in Japanese. Miz had tiny balls. Miz was furious and tried to attack Nakamura, but he got caught with the Kinshasa. Just a quick comedic segment here, and it works. I like Nakamura, I like the Miz. This was good stuff, and hopefully we'll get a match 22 soon. Omos was then taking on a local competitor and caught him with a big strike which angered him, and he tossed the competitor around the ring before getting a big boot and dropping him on the turnbuckle. He then hit his two-handed chokeslam for the finisher, getting the win with his foot. And yeah, this gets a 5 out of 10 from me, to be honest. I mean, like, isn't he literally fighting Seth Rollins in one of the biggest matches of Backlash this coming weekend? Surely we should be building to that. Yeah, that was very weird here. And yeah, just fitted in for time purposes, I guess. So yeah, 5 out of 10. Road Dogg and Molly Holly were out for the next round of the draft. I like the way they utilise legends here, by the way. Ricochet and Strowman and Bronson Reed were going to Raw, while Shotzi would go to SmackDown. Pretty Deadly from NXT were also headed to SmackDown. Can't wait to see what they can do there. Judgment Day were out next, and after celebrating their being drafted, Damian Priest cut a promo in Spanish about beating Bad Bunny in Puerto Rico. Don got on the mic and the crowd erupted into boos. The young Mysterio played into it and kept letting the crowd interrupt him for no reason before finally threatening the LWA. And they came up before Ray said he was glad that they were going to be on separate bands, because next time he would bring out La Chancellor. And Ray hyped up Backlash matches before heading to the ring for a 6-man tag team match. Ray and Dominic started it, but Rhea tagged in, forced a tag to Vega. Vega countered the Riptide early on and hit some big moves before we headed for a break on Raw. Back on Raw, Vega took Ripley out with the double knees on the apron. In the ring, Ray countered the Razor's Edge and set up the 619. Balor came in and took the 619, said before Priest got the stuff, having off the distraction, got the win. And yeah, good for Damian Priest to get the win here. Another loss for the LWO, which is a bit of a shame, but Judgment Day momentum keeps on going. So it gets a 7 out of 10 for me. I really enjoyed it. But yeah, I don't know, it's kind of hard to book a winner in this match, if you know what I mean. Next up on Raw, Cody Rhodes was backstage and said that Lesnar was in his head and refused to go to the Backline and said he was going to win at Saturday at Backlash. Bianca Belair and Damage Control then backstage, and the chance tried to sow discontent between Io Sky and the rest of her team. And yeah, I think this is going to be the overarching story heading into the match. And the final round of the draft then took place with JBL and Teddy Long. Alpha Academy and NXT's Katana Chance and Kaden Carter were drafted to Raw, really kind of destroying the women's tag team division in NXT. Surely this is just combining championships. But Rick Boogs and Cameron Grimes were going to SmackDown. Great to see Cameron Grimes on the main roster. He really deserves it. And then it's main event time. So does Sikoa versus Seth Rollins. Rollins taunted Sikoa off the bat and tried to hit a dive through the ropes, but was met with a spinning heel kick. Rollins dodged a big spear before getting a super kick and a lariat before sending Solo out for a series of dives into the announcer's desk. Rollins went for a roll up off a counter before Solo got a spine buster. Seth got a strike to the face before Solo got another spine buster before pounding on Rollins on the ground. Chaos erupts in the ring as the Usos came in and joined in the ring, as did KO Sami Zayn. The match was called off and the show went off air was a brawl. And yeah, where was Omos? But yeah, it's all about the 16-man tag team match, which was what they were building here. So did it relatively effectively, I would say. This was always going to end in a non-finish. But yeah, like the story around it, just where was Omos? So it gets a 7 out of 10 for me. It was decent enough. Overall, Raw this week gets a 7 out of 10 from me. Yeah, I thought it was a pretty good episode of Raw this week, I have to say. Lots going on, some really entertaining matches on there, stories going on, the draft, which is always exciting. So yeah, on the whole, a long episode of Raw as per usual. But you know, I would say a pretty solid one, and one that I definitely enjoyed. So yeah, on the whole, good stuff, gets a 7 out of 10 from me. But anyway, guys, that's it for you. Thanks very much for watching. So like, share, subscribe, and lots of comments on my front show for daily wrestling news, and subscribe to the channel, that'd be greatly appreciated. Thanks very much for watching. Peace.